All right.
We're live.
We're live.
Are you?
I think we are.
It's,
Yes, we are.
yeah, it's showing me live at 13, 14, 15 seconds. So we're live.
Oh, hold on. I got to get rid of the other. There it is. Nope, that's not the button.
All right. So everybody in the chat, are we live? Can you see us?
We are. I just saw us on YouTube. I had to mute it.
So.
Okay. Well, I guess, do you want to start talking about your first, or I'm assuming square body?
Yeah. I mean, we can kind of give an introduction of
Okay.
what we're doing here. If you want to do that, then I'll lead off my first vehicle.
All right. Well, hello, and welcome to everybody in the chat. We are just getting together. Everybody's trying to get me to go live, so I'm going live, and we're doing this together. But we're basically just gonna do this once a week and sit around and just talk about whatever topic we decide is good for the week. And this week we decided we're going to discuss our first vehicles, our first car.
Yeah. And I guess, like, since this is the first one, we can say, during this first hour of the tailgate talk, unless we have a special guest, it's just going to be the two of us. We're going to try that, see how it works. I can see there's a bunch of people wanting in here, and we appreciate that. But this first hour till 8 o'clock is going to be just me and Travis, and maybe a special guest in another show or something. But then after that, at 8 o'clock, I guess quality control can pin a link if they don't have the link yet. And then we're gonna have a after party where we'll let everybody in, whoever we can get in, and then hang out for however long after this 1 hour.
I'm pinning a comment.
Okay.
All right. Should be the link for the after hours show is pinned.
Okay. So, all right. So you want me? You said something about me starting off with my first vehicle, which, surprise, it's a square body. It's a 73 half-ton long bed, 2-wheel drive. I mean, it is. I got a story about this truck because this truck was in my family since '75. My dad bought it, of course, used. It was 2 years old. Already had a gobble miles on it because the guy special ordered it with 273 gears to drive back and forth from Missouri to Texas. And it's just a plain Jane. The only options it had was a V8 and air conditioning and power steering, power brakes. But other than that, it's a custom deluxe, plain Jane, white. Everything's white. So in early 80s, my dad, he's in the Air Force. We got stationed to Hawaii, and he didn't take the truck with him. And I was 2 years old, something like that. So trying to think of get the storyline going. I could have practiced, but so we stayed in Hawaii for 4 years, and during that time, he left it with my grandpa to drive. And in the middle of that time, the transmission went out, and it sat in his field for a total of 13 years before we got it running and driving again when I was a teenager. But when we came back from Hawaii, I'd seen pictures of the truck. I fell in love with the truck when I was real little in Hawaii, seen pictures of it. And I remember the first time going to Grandpa's house when I was 6 years old. And when we got back from Hawaii and I walked out in the field, Dad was wanting to look at the truck, see if it's worth getting running or not. And yeah, it was. I remember seeing it. It had been wrecked before. That's another story about the truck, but probably not for this time. So it didn't have it had I'm wanting to say a late 60s Impala grill, kind of just laid in there and zip tied, or not zip tied, but wired in.
Yeah.
But I just remember seeing the truck because it had the old school bald eagle with the mountain range seen in the back glass.
Okay.
I just fell in love with the truck then, and as a teenager, we drug it out of the field and brought it home where we lived at in Warrensburg, Missouri, and just started working on it. And then that's some of the work I done to it. I never completed it to get it all one color again. This was an engine that I got and rebuilt for it, my first engine. I tried my hand at making a Cal induction scoop for it, and it turned out okay.
How did that turn out?
It turned out all right. I mean, for a 16-year-old kid with a bunch of fiberglass and Bondo.
Did you just start out with just like freehand a Cal induction hood, or did you just start out with the scoop and put it on there?
No, that's actually the skin. I just cut down and folded the skin up, and then put sides in it, and then extended the rear.
Oh wow, that turned out really good then.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, the idea and everything worked out great, except for the execution could have been a lot better because, like I said, I was a 16-year-old kid and just trying to figure it out. But
yeah.
And here's one shot of it in the process of working on it, because I was in a auto body class in Votech in high school, and you can kind of see the hood there.
Yeah.
But I had the bed off. It was up at school. I was fixing the bed, and if you notice, it's got the same wheels. Got the same wheels as old Squeaky does, which are not the exact same.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I've got those style wheels on Squeaky's, because I wanted those wheels. They were my favorite wheels, so I wanted them back. And I found a set, put them on Cream Puff. Yeah, got too many trucks. And here's a picture of when I was 17 and my youngest boy. You can barely see him there. Which he's 26 now. But that was a picture of me and him working on my first truck.
That's a cool picture.
But it gets better. I think I showed you guys this when you was up here. But the picture he made me, that's him.
Yeah, you told me about. Yeah, I remember seeing.
Yeah, that's him and his little boy. And so they made this picture up for me for, I think, Father's Day a couple years ago or a year ago. And I told him, I said, one of these days, me and him need to recreate that where I'm trying to hold him up. But yeah, that truck, I drove it for years, and finally it just kind of got to be one of those things of, I just got tired of it. I tore it down to do more work to it, then I ended up just kind of giving up on it and scrapping it. And I regret that decision to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I love that truck. Me and my first wife and my youngest boy, he was a little baby sitting in between us. We drove down to Texas, East Texas from here, Missouri, like a 10, 12-hour drive in that truck in the middle of August, no air conditioning. I had to carry, because number 2 cylinder on the original motor, the rings were broke, so that cylinder smoked really bad. So I carried a pack of spark plugs with me. So every time I filled the truck up with gas, I'd change that spark plug out. But it made it down there, made it back. I mean, it would cruise. We was on our way back from from Texarkana to Little Rock. We was averaging like 120 miles an hour.
Oh wow!
And it was nothing with those tall gears. We got in with a big old green Cadillac and a semi truck. They come flying by me. I looked over, my wife, she's asleep, the baby's asleep. Like, I just got in with them. We got to Little Rock in a really, really good time.
I bet.
But yeah, I wish I still had the truck, but it was my first square body, first truck, and yeah, that's it. I'm kind of short and sweet version of it.
Yeah.
So what was your first vehicle?
My first car was an 88 Dodge Shadow ES Turbo, but I don't really count that one because I had it for maybe 2 months and I totaled it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I pulled out. I went to turn a corner and I followed the guy in front of me and didn't realize there was somebody coming and got T-boned. So I totaled that one within 3 months of having my driver's license. But my first car that I count was a 73 Plymouth Scamp. And although I didn't come prepared, and I don't even think I have pictures of it, same thing, same kind of deal as yours. Didn't really have the family backstory, but we my dad and I bought it, and then we went and bought a complete interior out of another car, and him and I basically built it. We put all that interior in it. When I got it, it had just a bone stock 360 in it, and it was terrible. If Richard's in here, he'll talk about all the stories of how it never wanted to start and it was always flooded. So then built my first 360, which is just like, I don't know, it was just Keith Black flat top pistons, a decent set of heads, and a small cam. Put that in there, and then I drove it all through high school. And same thing, I was in auto body class in high school, and I got it all, and it was all one color. It was all primered.
Yeah.
But it kind of met a little bit of the same fate as your first car when right before I graduated, I don't remember. Richard and I, sorry, Amber's clicking things on the screen here. Ryan said his buddy had a badass Shelby Shadow. Richard and I were renting a shop, and I decided I was going to make a race car out of it. So I pulled the front wrap off of it, and I was kind of going to do similar to what I did to the red truck. Actually, I was going to make a lift off front end and all that other stuff. I tore it apart, cut the front end off of it, and then I was 17, I guess, so I didn't have the talent or the knowledge or the ability to put it back together. So then it sat at my mom's house when I went into the Air Force, and when I got back from the Air Force, I scrapped it, unfortunately. And
yeah,
again, same as you, wish I still had it because I definitely could put the front wrap back together now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I wish I would have kept that truck, because fast forward to now, I've got a YouTube channel on Square Body Trucks. And
yeah. So Buff says his first car was a 68 Chevelle that he pulled out of a field with a 350 and a 350. Ran great, too great, 110 miles an hour. And someone mentioned to his dad, and he lost, and apparently the car went bye-bye.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know this one. Sheldon says his first car was a 04 Jeep Cherokee.
Yep. We still have that one. The 4.7 doesn't run so great, but
no. Struggle Bourbon says his first was a 84 Celebrity Coupe. Brown inside and out, 2.8. I had at one point I had a 84 Jeep Cherokee with a 2.8. I agree with the gutless V6 thing.
Well, I had a little Celebrity one time. I don't remember what year it was, late 80s, early 90s. And it had the 2.8, and it was great. I mean, that car just ran, and a good little family car, I guess. But I mean, they're not got no winning races, but it was fun.
That Cherokee I had, we bought it with a bad motor, and me and my dad swapped the checker. I don't know if anybody knows what O'Reilly is, but checker was what we had until O'Reilly bought them out. But we swapped a checker reman motor into it on like a Thursday and left for Michigan in it on a Friday. And it made it all the way there. The only thing we had to do was on the way back, we had to stop and change the manifold to collector, or the gaskets on the manifold, because it was leaking the exhaust fumes so bad we couldn't stand to be in it. Well, we got to catch up here. There's lots of people with their first cars. So
yeah. I'm trying to see what the what quality control and Mr. Squarebody are talking about.
Mrs. Squarebody says her first one was an 80-something Renault Alliance.
Yeah.
Her first real car was a 90 S15 with a 5-speed and a 4.3. Punisher says his first car was a 62 Chevy short wheelbase 283, power pack heads and a glide with 410 gears.
Yeah, I've got a little 283 with power pack head sitting here on a stand for Ryan. Ryan's was 69 Torino GT Fastback 390. 67 Chevelle was the second one. Ryan had the cool stuff.
Yeah. I had a 71 Challenger for a little while. I inherited it because my dad let me race it one night at the drag strip. I was in the high school drags class, and my Scamp that was my race car, we were working on something. I think we were doing the 9-inch swap at the time. And so he let me race that because it wasn't done. And a guy, a 10-second Nova, I think, blew a tire at the top end and ran into the side of it at 120 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
So then my dad gave it to me, and it was a fiberglass front end Nova, so it didn't hurt it too bad, but the whole side of it got wiped out. And when I started working on it, I realized that the whole side of the car was nothing but Bondo and rust. And at the time, I'm like, well, we can find a much nicer car than fix this one. So I sold it and then never bought another one. And now I really wish I had that car back because it was solid compared to what I can afford these days.
Yeah. 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 Well, now I'm thinking about actually my first car, but I never got to drive it because it was like I was in middle school. They bought it for my brother, but then my brother didn't want it. So I'm like, I'll take it, and then Dad ended up selling it. But it was a 72 Malibu 4-door. And yeah, I drove it around the yard a little bit, but that's about it. But I never got to drive it, but I guess that was the first kind of car that kind of claimed as mine.
Yeah. So Tim Windsor said he had a 79 Chevy Monza Coupe. He loved it. When he blew up the 4-cylinder, he put in an Olds V6.
Yeah, the car I learned to drive standard in was I think it was a 76 Vega with the 4-cylinder and a little 4-speed. And Dad said, if you can bank shift this, you can bank shift anything. So he taught me how to. It wasn't just learning how to drive a stick. He was trying to learn me how to actually bank shift these things.
Yeah.
And I catch second gear almost every time, and third, But I was like 14 at the time. Back in the day when, you could take your kids out and teach them how to drive on back roads and not think anything of it.
The first time I ever drove a standard car, my dad had a gravel pit, and I was out there working, and there was one of the other guys the guy, I guess the co-owner was there, and he had a Ford, I think it was F-150 with a 5-speed. And I get in it, and the shop where all the tools and everything was about 4 or 5 miles down the road, down like a 4-lane highway. I think it's Highway 50, but they get in the 2 semis and they start driving back to the shop. They threw me the keys to that truck and they said, follow us back to the shop. I think it was 14. Never been on the road in anything. So I'm driving this. I just about put it in the ditch in the gravel pit because I started driving. I didn't know where to move the shifter. So I'm looking at the shifter and I drove off the road into the ditch, and I made it. Didn't wreck anything, but Amber's looking at me like I'm missing something. Let's see. What did we missed?
Irish, plenty.
Irish says he had a 66 Mustang, a 79 CJ, and a 83 Mustang GT all at one time.
That's his first stuff.
Yeah. Got Bad Tree 91 Buick Regal 3.8 Monster.
Yeah. Mr. Squarebite said her wish was an IROC Z for her first car, but we actually got to drive an IROC. Well, no, an IROC. It's her son's '92 RS Camaro back from Florida a couple years ago. Yeah, we didn't even get to Georgia before we realized this is not a fun car to road trip in.
my dad had I think it was 86. It wasn't an IROC. It was a Z28 that he bought at an auction. Like it was it was Clody's, but now it's Copart, I think. But as an insurance auction, It was wrecked, and he had that thing parked behind the shop forever. It was probably parked behind our shop for 15 years. But I sat in that thing a few times, and I realized then I didn't really like those Camaros. They're not comfortable to sit in.
No, because you're sitting with your legs almost straight out, and the transmission tunnel is kind of angled in, so you just can't get comfortable at all. It was, my legs, my hips, everything just was hurting. It was, by the end of the trip, we were both getting a little grumpy.
Shellman said that he learned to drive a standard in good old Buddy.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually working on the road when him and his brother took my old crew cab. If anybody doesn't know, my old crew cab flatbed his name's Buddy, and they took it out in the field and stuff around the farm, playing around with it. And Shellman I'd had that truck for at that time probably 13, 14 years, and I never really put a dent in it. And I come back off the road, and they're all nervous, and he put a dent in it. And Shellman has almost put a dent on the passenger side of every one of my vehicles I've had. So I'm really careful which vehicle he gets into, because it doesn't even have to be driving it. He'll dent something on the passenger side. My Duramax has a dent in the bed from him on the passenger side.
How does he dent it if he's not driving it?
He threw the Duramax. He threw his bicycle in the back, and the pedal caught the bedside, dented it. But on Buddy, he was going through the gates and cut it too sharp. He caught the gate of the corner post with the passenger side rear door. But yeah, Mrs. Squarebody, real grumpy. Yeah, we were both really grumpy.
He got unfinished products. His first vehicle was a '79 Power Wagon. That would have been a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a four-wheel drive, like square body Dodge, except for a Ram Charger that I diesel swapped. Maybe I need to get one of those.
I remember when I was little, I don't remember what year it was. I'm wanting to say probably early to mid 70s. My aunt and uncle had it was an orange Power Wagon. Had the black stripes and Power Wagon up the side, and had the black push bar and the CB antenna, the roll bar in the back. It was just your perfect. If you think back to the 70s, I mean, that truck had it all.
Yeah,
and I remember that truck. That truck actually is what kind of started my love for also Mopar trucks too, because it's just really cool.
Shellman says he won't do it to Cream Puff.
Trash can. That wasn't the story I got. Is he talking about Buddy or Cream Puff?
I think he's talking about Buddy, and
okay.
He won't put a dent in Cream Puff.
I thought he's admitting to putting a dent in Cream Puff that I didn't know about.
So Ryan says, how old were you when you first went down the drag strip?
Well, I've got it on video. It was 3 years ago, so I was 40.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm new to all this drag racing stuff as far as the official stuff.
I was 16. And it was in a 73 Plymouth Scamp. And it was painfully slow. Something in the 15s. I don't even remember.
Oh, mine was in the 17s, high 16s, I think. Yeah, my first time to the drag strip, I took both of my trucks, Cream Puff and Squeaky, and of course, Cream Puff has got 276 gears, 33-inch tall tires on it. It's very, very high gear, not meant for.
Did you have to shift?
Not meant for, huh?
Did you even have to shift?
Barely. I mean, it barely got out of second because, I mean, you can go. I don't remember how fast they can get in first gear without shifting it, but yeah. Then of course, Squeaky was pretty much a bone stock 305, so he didn't go very fast either.
So Irish says he was 16 when he first went down the drag strip. And then Tony's Hot Rod Garage says his first car was a 71 Charger and his second was a 78 D200, and he still has both of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish I still had both of my first two cars. I'm not sure how long it was after I got my license. Ryan says he was 16 too, 3 days after he got his license. It would have been shortly after I got my license because I got my license in June and we raced during the summer. So Buff says he has yet to, but it's not really true. He got towed onto the drag strip. He kind of backwards. We're going to count it.
Gentleman's ratting people out.
I can't keep up with
okay. Okay. Shellman's put 2 dents in that truck. One with the bicycle, and then one in the rear door with the trash can of the dumpster. And at the same time, not too long after I bought that truck, we bought a brand new 2017 Dodge Durango RT. If we're going to get a new family vehicle, Daddy wanted something with the power. So we went and got a brand new Durango RT, Bruiser Gray, beautiful car. It was fun. Yeah. He opened the door on that car and put a dent in that door from the same dumpster. In a brand new car.
So Ryan's car was the one he first took down the drag strip was a 64 Chevelle with a 283 and a 4-speed. Ran a 962 in the 8th. Jeff's first car was an 85 Mustang GT, came with a 302, but ended up with a 351. Ryan was June 2.
Yeah.
I'm guessing his birthday. Buff says until he gets to do a burnout and a launch, he's not counting it. My birthday's the 26th.
Yeah, but I think Buff's already hooked and he hadn't even been on the strip yet.
Yeah. Well,
I know.
Don't worry, Buff. It was more fun in the pits than it was on the strip at No Name Nationals.
At least for a couple of us.
So what's the coolest car you've ever had?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd probably say as far as like cool first impressions, like of other people in the world, probably that Durango RT.
Yeah.
I've never had, as far as I've always had trucks. I mean, they're always cool, but that Durango, and I mean, Squeaky really is kind of my coolest truck I've ever had, as far as like, you know, just being cool. When you first see it, you think, oh, that truck's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that thing was slick. I mean, it was fun, but
Ryan says there was a drag strip at No Name Nationals.
yeah, there's a bunch of noise going on. If you could hear it over that Malibu on the other side of you, Travis, every once in a while when the popping quit, we could hear, some racing going on. But I think he's got some stuff figured out on the popcorn machine. And
does he?
Yeah, so this might be a good segue to let people know that I think it's the right video. I may be completely wrong on it, but I think he's got a video coming out, premiering at 8:30 tonight, Central Time. So we're going to have the after hours after this at 8. But at 8:30, Ryan's got a premiere coming out. So everybody feel free to we'll leave this up or leave the live up and then jump over to Ryan's channel at 8:30 and see what he's going on. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I hope it should be. Ryan always puts out really awesome videos, even though he's like, I just do this together. It's like super not over the top, but super cool stuff going on in his videos.
Yes. He said, no mo, and then it is. So I'm guessing it is. Yeah. I guess about the.
Okay. I thought I was right because I kind of glanced at the thumbnail, and me and him, me and Ryan talk on a regular basis, so I kind of knew what was going on, but I also get easily confused on everything. So,
Patrick is here. I'm going to learn everybody's names.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Right now, I know 3.
Yeah.
So he said his first car was a 67 GTX 440 Auto. Bought when he turned 18, and he still has it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Last time he drove it was in 1990. That's a cool car.
Yeah.
So I hate to call it my coolest car, but probably the coolest car I've owned. I had a 2015 Scat Pack Challenger with a 6.4 and a 6-speed.
Yeah.
And so it was too shiny for me. I bought that thing brand new. I had, I think, 300 miles on it when I drove it home. And a year and 3 months later, it had 900 miles on it when I drove it back to the dealership to trade it in on my 2016 Ram, because I was afraid to get out of the garage. Like I drove it 5 or 6 times, and every time I drove it, I had a routine. I'd drive it a little bit, and then I'd go detail it, and then I'd put it back in the garage, put it back under the cover. And I realized after a year and a half making the payment on it that it was too shiny for me.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Nope.
Yeah, that Durango. Of course, I didn't do any prior research to him whenever we bought it. It was just kind of a spontaneous thing. We did find out that of all the SUVs of any make or model, was GM, Chrysler, or Ford, that we liked the Durango the most. It had everything we wanted, and so we went to the Dodge dealership here locally and looked at it. And I was like, "Hey, do you got?" I said, "Do you got anything with the V8, the 5.7 in it?" He's like, "Well, you could either get the Citadel, which is the fancy all chrome, kind of old people's, all the fancy stuff, or we got an RT. And of course, my ears perked up when he said RT. I was like, "What's the RT?" He said, "Well, it's, got the stitched interior, leather interior, the 5.7 Hemi. They're factory lowered like 2 inches, and blacked out except for all the trim was blacked out." I'm like, "Oh, that's sweet." And he said, "But the only problem with it is the second row seating is only buckets. You can't get like a bench." I'm like, "Well, that's probably gonna be a no bueno." But we ended up getting it because it was just, that thing all-wheel drive. But then once we got it, the 18 started coming out, and you can get the 6.4.
Okay.
And the 18th. If I would have waited just a little bit, I could have got, an even cooler one. But and they had the cool hood scoop on them and everything. But
I like the Durangos, the newer Durangos, like what you had.
Yeah, but the color of it, I mean, it just living on the gravel road now, I just never could keep it clean with the black wheels, black everything else. It just
What color was it?
It was bruiser gray, it was a non-metallic, kind of bluish gray, but they called it bruiser gray.
Huh. I wonder if that's so. At one point, they were painting the Chargers and the Challengers. They called it Destroyer Gray. I wonder if it's close to the same color.
It probably was. Well, I think the bruiser gray is a little bit darker, and I may be wrong, but I think it's darker. But I mean, it was pretty, but.
Buff says he wished his first car was a Camaro, but then he was glad he had the Chevelle. Oh, last sold at Barrett Jackson for 30 grand.
The Chevelle? Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
Sheldon wished his first vehicle was a 69 Corvette.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I never 69, but I've sat in a few Corvettes, and I don't know. I don't think they're very comfortable to sit in.
But it's kind of like that Camaro, but
granted, I guess the ones that I've sat in have all been, what is it, like the 70 Stingray, 74, 75.
Yeah, that was the first Corvette I ever rode in, and it was a red, I'm wanting to say late 70s, early 80s. Dad rebuilt the engine for the guy, and so we got to go for a test. I got to go for a test drive in it, and it's like, man, you can feel every little bump. You're sitting on the ground, and like, Dad, why? I thought these things are, supposed to be like smooth and cushy, because they're an expensive car. They didn't, I was young. He's like, no, this is a sports car. It's meant to feel every bump, everything. He said, there's really no suspension to it. I'm like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I mean, it was like rough riding.
My first Corvette story was back in auto body class when I was in high school. Somebody, he was important in the community. He bought his son, I think it was a 74 or 75 Corvette. It was white, and we painted it for him at the college there. And turned out it was pretty nice. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was a decent car. Well, he brought it back, I guess a month or two after we painted it, and they wanted to put big old snow tires on it so it'd get better traction in the winter for his son driving it. So I actually had to take and cut the wheel wells out of it to fit these big old monster snow tires under this Corvette.
That sounds like something I would do.
I did it.
Wow.
So Patrick says he had a moment of weakness in 2009 and bought his and hers 09 Challenger RT Classics, the same color. One's an auto, one's a 6-speed, and they drive them like they stole them. I wonder, does that mean they still have those? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I had a 13 Challenger RT Classic. I drove that car like I stole it. I should have kept that one. I traded it in. So Dodge sent me a deal, and I could trade my Challenger in, and they give me a bunch of money for it if I bought a brand new one. And if I would have kept the black one, I might still have it. I love that car.
Yeah, of course we got the white Ram now, our 2019 Ram. That's Heather's truck, Mrs.
It's
Square
nice.
Body's truck. Yeah, Mrs. Square Body drives a Ram, but yeah, we won't go into that whole story because it's GM. The newer stuff, GM just didn't satisfy us. And I am a closet Mopar guy.
It's not closet, but I like cars.
Yeah,
I prefer Dodges, and Chevys would be second. But when we were racing circle track, we raced Chevys. We tried Dodges, but we just couldn't.
too expensive.
Well, it wasn't too expensive. Yeah, actually, yes, that's exactly what it is. It was too expensive because there's not a plethora of used other people's junk laying around that you can put together for your race car. If you're running Dodges, you have to buy Chevy stuff if you want to use other junk that other people have discarded.
Yeah. It's like Blake always says, you know, get a small block Chevy. That way you go to the nearest gumball machine, get whatever parts you want for it.
So, Steven, wait, I almost hit the wrong one. I saw it somewhere. There it is.
Yeah, I've seen big blocks in here.
Yep. And
yeah, nobody's going to want to pit next to us at No Name Nationals next year. And like, where's Travis and where's Chad and where's Big Block and Streetcar Chronicles and Ryan and them at? You know, we're not going to be over there.
we'll all pit together again, and we'll try to mix it up. I don't have anything full injected to bring a popcorn machine, but you did a pretty good job impersonating it, so you could bring the popcorn machine.
Yeah, just turn the two-step down and let her pop.
Ryan has to bring something that'll break a drive shaft.
Yeah, let's mix it up. I like it. Yeah, this whole drive shaft thing has got me so freaking nervous to even drive my truck now. Just, you know, I've never. Well, I broke a few drive shafts, but it's like it's kind of a reoccurring thing with this truck that things are going wrong with the drive line. That I'm like super nervous of even driving. If there's a slightest little bit of vibration, I'm like, ugh, you know.
I noticed that in your video that was it yesterday you put out the video of driving it with the bad U joint?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, and with that pillow block as a carrier bearing, you know, there's no rubber cushion around it, so you feel
everything.
You just feel, and with the seats being mounted solid, everything's solid in that truck. So you feel everything, and it's like, man, it's just you got to get used to it. But in the back of your mind is like, is this the new normal, or is there something wrong, or like,
yeah, that's so. I was telling you this, but I haven't really said it out loud. When I first got the red truck running after we did all that stuff to get it ready to go to No Name Nationals, I had never driven that truck with no interior and everything gutted the way it was. I took it for a ride around the block, and I thought the motor's about to blow up because you can hear everything that's going on coming through that floorboard.
Yeah. You can hear everything. You can feel everything.
Whoops, I missed. It moved. So Big Block said, who's opening up their oil pan next year?
Not it.
Yeah, not it.
Yeah. Was it the game my kids used to play, Nose Goes or something like that?
Yeah.
Not it. Nose Goes.
So Buff said, not me.
Yeah.
Quality Control says, not me, because race truck.
This is too. Oh, this it's expensive. Yeah.
Big Block says, Chad, we all like mullets. Let your son know he has to be in more videos.
Oh yeah, yeah. My oldest son Clayton, Yeah, he's got a rocking mullet now. Yeah, that's the thing is I wish I could do more videos with the boys, but all of our schedules just don't match up. And, hopefully one of these days it'll work out to where we can, do more videos together. But that video was a fun day, just hanging out and getting his truck going and, just watching my boys wrench on stuff.
Yeah.
And I am a dad, so I still like to, tell them everything, but knowing I don't have to, just let them figure it out. And it's pretty cool to be there for that.
Yeah, that was a really cool video to watch. Just watching you guys all kind of thrash to get it, not really, I guess thrash to get it running again and drive it and then tow it home. Feels like I built something.
Yeah. Well, so the funny thing is the reason we towed it back because it started getting hot. Well, or the reason he even shut it off. We haven't figured out why it wouldn't start back. It wasn't the battery; it was electrical connection somewhere. So it's getting dark. It's like, well, let's just drag it back. Well, the whole reason that truck has been parked is because when we loaded on a trailer to bring it here, when I moved, there was coolant coming out of the side of the block somewhere. So we'll get to it later. Well, 4 years later, we finally get to it. So we all got so excited that it ran, and we didn't have any plan on how far he's going to drive it. 15 minutes. So, yeah, I think she done that because I was on a rant, starting a story. He's like,
yeah.
No, the one thing we didn't check after we got it running is we didn't add any water to it.
Oh.
We just didn't even think about it.
So
I'm going through the video editing it. I'm like, well, no wonder it got warm because the one reason it was parked, we didn't even address that. We just got excited at run. And when I told him to drive it, I said, just, wherever you want to go, I figured like around the field or something, or down the driveway and back. No, he just takes off down the gravel road like, all right, let's do this. Let's have fun. So, yeah, we've got the 15-minute warning.
Shellman asked, what are you two bringing? I guess he's talking to us, to No Name Nationals. I'm bringing extra parts.
Yeah, that's the name of your truck.
Yes.
And extra parts for extra parts.
No, well, we're gonna try to have extra parts sorted out so it doesn't need extra parts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna only bring one drive shaft in the truck, and I'm gonna make sure that there's no way it can fall out.
Yeah, of course, when you break stuff, it's like when I was doing the rock crawling thing.
Oh.
You start breaking stuff, then you realize, okay, the next time you're going to bring extras of that. Well, you're not going to break that. You're going to break something else.
You'll never break what you have parts to fix.
Yeah. So it's like, I just got to where I'm not even bringing anything. I'll bring a couple tools, but that's about it. Ratchet straps, baling wire, zip ties. That'll get you back to the truck.
I don't understand. A helicopter would be different for sure with an LS swap. Who's going to LS swap a helicopter?
Oh, Buff. I think he's talking about Buff. Buff put a picture on Facebook or somewhere about an airplane or a helicopter. He's wanting an LS swap. Yeah. Take that to No Name Nationals.
Buff's bringing the Grand Prix and an all-wheel drive Trans Am.
Yes.
Richard said his first car to drive was a 70 Nova. I thought you had a Love, Richard.
Yeah, 70 Nova. That's like one of my favorite cars that one day I wish to own. 69, 70, early 70s, late 60s Nova.
Irish says he's going to bring as many as he can.
Yeah, he's gonna have a whole semi trailer load of cars.
Oh, I missed it. So First Responder Garage says, if that's true, bring connecting rods and an oil pan so nobody gets track.
We all need to get Steven Big Block 402 an engine diaper.
Oh, Big Block says, Chad, have you ever owned a car?
Yeah, I had a '79 Pontiac Grand Prix with the 301 Gutless Wonder. The first car I actually bought and got a loan for was I don't even remember what year it was. It was a little Chrysler LeBaron, white, red interior or maroon interior. It was like a little grandma's car, but we were just starting a family and I had a good job, so I'm going to go buy a nice used car for the family, and a little Pontiac LeBaron or Chrysler LeBaron. See, what other cars have I owned? Not very many. It's pretty much always been trucks. Well, I've had, I guess a few throwaway cars. I had a '91 Pontiac Grand Prix. After that LeBaron, we traded it back. We decided it was too small because we're getting ready to have our second child, and so we wanted something a little bit bigger. Took it back to the same used car dealer, and they had a '91 Ford Taurus. Yeah, it was Ford, but
I drove an '89
really
Ford Taurus for a while.
Yeah, it was a great car, but we traded it back to the guy, and he actually gave us more on trade-in than what we bought the car for. I was like, okay, that makes no sense to me, but he was happy to do it. I'm sure he made money on it somehow, but yeah, I've had that little Chevy Celebrity. I had a Pontiac Sunfire. That was a fun little car and they've all been white. White vehicles are like gravitate towards me. The only car that didn't have that was white was that the '79 Grand Prix. It was maroon, but yeah, we've had a few cars, but it's just not our thing. Me and Heather, Mrs. Squarebody, we bought a brand new 2020 Impala, and it was nice, but we just aren't car people. It just felt too small, too cramped. So that's when we traded it off for the Ram.
So Amanda says her first car was a '87 RX-7. She thought it.
I remember. I remember those.
Yeah, those were pretty cool cars.
My uncle bought one mid to late '80s like that, brand new, and he was our uncle that he's the youngest of all my dad's brothers. So, and he went out and got a good job, made a lot of money, and so he's always buying brand new vehicles. And of course, he'd bring him over, show him off. It was cool. He had a little red RX-7. Yeah, just some cool cars.
Richard says, "What about the Daytona? The Daytona, I think, was my fourth car. If you're thinking of my first one was a Shadow. It was an '88 Shadow. That's the one I totaled on over there on Paul Boulevard. But that Daytona is funny. There's a kind of a funny story about that. I had I think it was an '85 Daytona. Had some. I don't know what model it was, but it was a 2.2 turbo. So Richard got same year-ish Chrysler Laser with the 2.2 turbo. They were both 5 speeds. And I think I started it when I don't remember what broke the first time. Anyway, I broke the transmission. And I think the first time it wasn't my fault. So me and my dad went and got a transmission. We rebuilt the transmission, showed me how to do it, put it back in the car. Well, then Richard and I, between the 2 of us, had to buy every core transmission in the town we lived in to keep those 2 cars on the road. And my dad took that car away from me when we bought the last core from the junkyard and I fixed it. He said, you can't have it anymore. There's no parts to fix it anymore. But they would do a pretty cool burnout for a front wheel drive. I think that was the 5-minute warning.
Yeah. 5 minutes. Well, I think the first tailgate talk has been a good success.
I think so. It was fun.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with a topic for the next one. And the next one's going to be on
comments.
Huh?
We should ask everybody in the comments.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Is everybody in the comments, give us suggestions for a topic for next week. Next week will be on my channel. So yeah, we're planning on just kind of flip-flopping every week, going back and forth on between Perpetual Projects and myself, doing these tailgate talks. You're gonna have to step it up, Travis, because I'm actually sitting on a tailgate.
I could maybe next week I could do that. I might be close enough. We'll see. Big Block says 8-hour live. So Big Block, in the pinned comments, there is a link to the after hours party, and we're gonna, when this ends in 4 minutes or so, we're gonna switch over to that one, and then at that point, other people can get on there with us. We'll put the link in the description for anybody who wants to get on there.
Yeah, and this was actually Travis and Amber's idea about doing this, and they had to kind of get me on board. I'm like, well, we need to let people in. But the first hour, you know, the kind of staying on topic is something we could actually put on our YouTube channels without having any shenanigans or too many shenanigans. And then the after hours, well, we'll just see where it goes, and you know, but we don't want to have like the first hour, you know, be good, and then the rest of it kind of go downhill like it usually does, and not want to put this as a video that everyone can see, so for public. So I guess that makes sense.
Landon says his driveline's probably on his tailgate, and it's there actually isn't even a tailgate on the truck, but the driveline is in the back of the truck right now.
Yeah.
Transmission is over here on a bench in pieces. I'm waiting on parts. I ordered parts. I should have them, I think tomorrow or the next day. I should have all the parts to put the transmission back together, and then I can maybe have it sitting in here for the live next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a legitimate rematch between us, just for having fun.
Yep. Me too. So at the end of your video, you had a thing that popped up that said you found a drag strip that's going to be open. Is that going to work out?
For right now, yeah. The weather looks good. I still got a couple things. I got to put safety loops on my drive shaft for this thing just in case. But yeah, it looks promising that on Sunday I'll be able to take this. It's over towards on the west side of the state towards Joplin, or on the other side of Joplin, Missouri, at Mocan Dragway, I think it's called, or Raceway. So it's a pretty cool drag strip. I've drove by it a few times and always wanted to go there. So they're going to have their last test and tune play day on Sunday the end of this week. So
awesome.
No promises, but I really want to. I don't know if I'm doing nitrous or not, but I'm going to try to just at least make it down the track, get some time slips, and have some fun.
Keep an eye on the Square Body Stuff channel to see what happened there.
Yeah. Or I might break something. Who knows?
It'd still be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Hey, we got 30 seconds, so we'll just sit here and stare at the clock for 20 seconds.
But I just want to say thank you for everybody that came and stayed here this long. And like the link is in the top of the comments for the after hour show that's going to go live as soon as this one ends. Well, within a few seconds. It's going to take me a minute to switch it over, and then on that one, I'll post the link for the live so anybody who wants to join in with us can.
Yeah. All right. Let's switch everything over and regroup.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.